So as I was sitting there, this very drunk young man just stumbled on our table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh no, I don't want to deal with a drunkard. So he came, stood at the table and said, "You don't look like you belong here." And at first I was just like, what is this one talking about? So he came round to where I was sitting, looked me in the eye and told me, "You don't belong here."
You can't be serious.
Imagine. And he said that 3 times. So when he said that the second time, for some reason, I just felt like I understood him. Like I knew exactly what he was saying.
Hi everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie. It's Lifestyle Thursday. And today I have an amazing guest, a young woman that I really, really love, honor and respect. And her name is Beryl. And she's going to tell us more about herself. Welcome.
Thank you. This is very strange.
Beryl is usually behind the camera.
Yes.
Let's just bring that out. Beryl is behind the camera, but we're going to get to that story. But maybe we can start. But who is Beryl? And maybe you said, I think about your journey for salvation.
Yes. Okay, Beryl is the only girl, the sister of 2 boys.
Okay.
And I'm from a wonderful, loving family. I've always had a passion for God since I was very young.
Okay.
But I think as I have grown and known God more, then it has also grown. So I can confidently say that I am a child of God and I am madly in love with Christ. Yes.
Oh, that is so awesome. Wow. That's awesome coming from a young person, because a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people are really lost. And it's, I think having that foundation must be something God wants. There must be something great that God wants to do with you. So how did you get to love this God?
Funny story, actually. I met God in the club. Yeah.
No wonder. You see, when you talk, I'm here while we connect. You know me, I had the voice of God in the club. And I was like, why are you here? What are you doing here? Please. And when we were not born again, but I was still like, why are you here?
It's actually strange, because at first, you know, my mom was those ones you'd call staunch Christians. So wake up and pray. You know, you're there, you're grumpy. You're like, how can you wake us up at 6 to pray? Kwani this God, see, he'll be there at 10, 11. So we'd wake up very early to pray. We would always go to church. We'd be forced to make presentations in church.
Really?
So yeah, every time we're going to a new church, kids. My mom is just there. My children are here. Yeah. Can you come and let's sing a song? So we basically grew up in the church. But as I became older, I started questioning God a lot.
Wow.
And there are so many things that I wanted God to do for me that I felt he was not doing. And because of that, I decided, you know what, because this God is not answering prayers,
time out.
I am done. Let me go find myself. So at that point, I think I was serving God because of what he can do for me rather than who he is. So I was very focused on the action. You know, is God doing this? No. Is he doing this? No. Then how can he be good? Then how can he have all this power that I'm being told he has? So tukaingia ndani in the club. I was
Beryl, I can't even see you. I can't
Most
even
people can't.
You.
Hey, I was the, you know, the words they call the life of the party.
That was you.
That's
why we connect. So now I'm getting to know why we connect so much, because that was my number 1 rule, life of the party.
So I went, I started partying, I got into drinking, I tried weed.
Beryl, can you see
died.
I'm looking at you. You almost died because of the weed.
Yeah, you know, I'm asthmatic. And I was there telling myself, I can do this. I can take weed. Yeah, so ikaingia kwa kifua, because there's just, it's like a whole school that you have to learn how to smoke. So I was like, okay, fine, we're not going to smoke, but let's just keep to drinking and partying. Yeah, but I felt very empty, honestly. I was
Even
very empty,
partying.
Exactly, and I was very unhappy. And every single time we would go out, at some point after, you know, everything has gone down and the night starts slowing down, I'd go sit by myself at some table and just start thinking, you know, what is this void I'm feeling, and how can I sort of just fill that space? Yeah, so one of the days when we went out, we were with my friends, and for some reason that day, I woke up feeling very unhappy, very disturbed, and my reaction was, okay, I need to go out.
Yes.
You know, this will sort everything out.
Going out was a solution for everything, even for
so
me.
that's what.
There's nothing else we knew.
So
Let's
that
go
was
hard.
what was going to solve everything. After I go out, I'd be okay. So we went out, we were partying, and at some point I just went to sit at the table, and everyone now brought their bags and their phones. They're like, since today you look like you don't want to party,
watch the bags.
You watch the stuff, exactly, and watch the drinks. So as I was sitting there, this very drunk young man just stumbled on our table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in my head I'm thinking, oh no, I don't want to deal with a drunkard. So he came, stood at the table and said, you don't look like you belong here. And at first I was just like, what is this one talking about? So he came round to where I was sitting, looked me in the eye and told me, you don't belong here.
You can't be serious.
Imagine. And he said that 3 times. So when he said that the second time, for some reason, I just felt like I understood him. Like I knew exactly what he was saying. Yeah, so he picks up his drink, he's going, and then he turns, and then he's like, you've had me. You don't belong here. Imagine. And then he just walked away. And immediately I knew I'm not supposed to be here. And at that moment, I knew what was missing in my life.
Oh.
So I went, gave the bags to my friends, told them I have to go. So they didn't understand why. They're like, I mean, you're the one who chafuas the table today. What's happening? Yeah, but I really felt like I needed to leave. So I left, I went home, and the next day, I just put on some worship music, locked myself in the room, switched off my phone, and just cried. I just cried my heart out. And I just told God, God, I need you. That's all I said the whole time. For like 3 hours, that's the only thing I spoke. So the rest of the time I was just crying and praising and worshiping. And at the end of that, I felt like a burden had been lifted. I felt whatever void that was there, was being filled. And I knew this is what I need. Wow. Yeah, and I think since then I haven't looked back.
Well done for the drunk man, first of all.
I know.
Celebrating the drunk guy. That is so spooky.
Yeah, it is. It
that
really
is so spooky.
Yeah, it really is.
That he gave you a word in season, but then you went and acted on it. And, you know, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe there's just somebody out there who just needs to go and lock themselves in the room. That's exactly what you need to do.
Yes.
You just need to go lock yourself in the room, put on some worship music, and just say, God, I need you. Very simple.
Yeah.
I really feel that that's something that people need to do. Because, you know, when I find people, especially young people and young women like you, they're into all sorts of things.
Yes.
That must make them very sad.
Yes.
There must be a very sad, a very deep sadness, even as they think that they're living life the way it's supposed to be lived.
That's true.
I think the best thing is that we all have an inherent sense of what is wrong and what is right.
Yeah.
And you know when life is working and it's right, and you know when life is not working
Yeah.
and it's not right.
Yeah. And I actually realized the reason why I felt that void was because, first of all, I was holding so much against God. Because for the longest time we had been praying for my father to get saved, and he wasn't. And it felt like the more we prayed for him, the worse he got.
That usually happens.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, then, you know, what's the point? So you harbor all this pain and all this unforgiveness, and you try covering it up with fun and drinking and making merry. But the truth is, the moment you go back to your quiet place, all those things
come back.
It all comes back.
You can't run away.
You can never run away. So the best way is to deal with those feelings. And there is no better person to deal with those feelings than Christ. I mean, you cannot do it on your own. Yeah, and
I don't know, you know, there's the scripture that says that each day has enough trouble of its own. So he did say there would be trouble. Because sometimes I wonder as Christians why we feel like everything has to go well, or has to go the way that we want. I think life has trouble and life happens. And we've got to deal with the way that life happens, but deal it with a context of safe and secure for yourself. Because all these things that we end up doing, I think even the moments I survived in the clubbing, drunkenness state, for sure, God knew I had a purpose. It's because we were supposed to sit here. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be here by now. I mean, it used to get so bad that I'd have to go check how the car was. You know, you just go and figure the lap around the car to see everything is intact, because I don't even know how I got home. So it's a very dangerous way to live. And I think even in our times, even it was a bit better. I think your times are very perilous times.
Very, very bad.
Because there are such predators out there waiting to pounce and do crazy things. So even the more careful that we need to be. Yeah,
that's true.
So if you're feeling empty, you're feeling drained, we're saying try Jesus. You've tried Jesus and run away from Jesus, go back to Jesus. That's the guy who is going to help you out. So just go back, and if that's what you need to do. And you know, some of us, even you feel a tug in your spirit and you don't know whether that's what you're supposed to do, but maybe you should just try it. Just lock yourself up in a room, no phone, nothing. Put some worship music and say, God, I need you, and let's see what happens. God bless you, and see you next Thursday. Bye.